Hey guys, welcome to Art and Soul with Heather. I know I said in a recent video that it just felt like it's been forever that I made a video, but honestly, even when I did go back to making videos, it feels like it's forever that I made a brushstroke tutorial. I mean, to me, that's my signature. And so I really have been missing that, but I really also have been enjoying, tinkering around with different other, with other types of paints and mediums and just different styles of art. I think those are equally important. I like to be fresh in every area that I can, but I also need to go back to where I really have my most inner peace come out, which is the brushstroke type artwork. And, I love sharing that with you, as I do with everything else. But anyway, so today's painting is just going to be a couple of cute little flamingos. I don't know, call it a Valentine's Day painting, call it a I love you painting, call it a let's think of paradise and somewhere, being somewhere tropical, I don't know, whatever. It's just fun and cute. It's just colorful and, why not? But anyways, before we get started, you guys know I have a little ministry snack to share with you. And today's snack comes from the book of Ephesians, chapter 2, verse 8. And this is an unusual one because I think it can stir a lot of thought in people, which is good. Thinking is good. Different perspectives are good. I'm just going to give you my perspective, though, and it reads, "For grace you have been saved through faith, and this is not your own doing. It is the gift of God." So, you guys, I don't think I've said this at any point in any of my tutorials, but I was baptized Catholic, or as a Catholic, when I was an infant, and I went to Catholic school growing up as a young girl, but really my early teens and after that really, had nothing to do with our upbringing anymore. We just kind of, I guess, went flat. So anyways, but Catholics really, that to my understanding, what was taught to me, really emphasize that baptism is what saves you. The gesture, the baptizing is what saves you. But for me, I'm looking at the Bible as what it says, like directly. It is it's by your faith. And so here's an example that I'm taking away that kind of proves that, this very verse. So when Christ was crucified, he had two other guys with him that got nailed to the cross. They were both robbers, and one guy was basically being real sarcastic and saying, "Hey, aren't you the Christ? Aren't you this big, big wig? You should save us and get us off here and save yourself." And the guy on the opposite side was like, "Dude, you need to hush your little hole over there because we are in no position to tell him what to do or what he should do. This man has done nothing wrong, and we so deserve for what we have done." And then after he kind of told that guy to, pish posh, hush up, he had said to Jesus, "Please take me with you to paradise." And Jesus had responded to him, truly I say to you, you will be with me in paradise." So as you can see, this robber took his whole life to finally believe in Jesus, up to his last few moments of life, but he believed. And he didn't get baptized. He wasn't walking in Christ's light or path his whole life. He was a robber. He was, an evildoer. But it took him, like I said, his whole life to finally have that faith. And it wasn't by any type of act. He didn't go get baptized. He didn't say, "Well, hold on, I got to get off the cross and I got to get baptized and you can put me back up here." Again, it was just his faith and his faith alone. And it kind of goes back to the verse I said last video where God sent his only son so that whoever believes in him shall not perish but have eternal life. Same thing. So whoever believes in him. But guys, I'm not saying that baptism isn't important or it doesn't mean anything or it's dumb or anything. It is wonderful, and it is highly suggested to do that if you do have that wholehearted faith in Christ. It's like a public gesture. It's like saying, when you get married, you have rings. You put rings on each other. It's the gesture. Same thing with being baptized. It's the gesture. Jesus got baptized, so he was emphasizing the gesture and importance of being baptized, but not that it was the actual act to be saved. So therefore, or again, there's no amount, it's not transactional. There's not, you can't give a certain amount of money to be saved. You can't do certain kind of deeds or a certain amount of good deeds. It is just strictly and very simply put by your faith and your faith alone. All right, guys. So yeah, that can be really just, it's heavy. It's a lot to think about, and I hope you're taking away good thoughts. But again, you're welcome to fish around in the Bible a little bit more, see what you think, but that's my take on it. All right, guys, so let's take this away to the table and get started on our painting.
I'm beginning my project by using a T-ruler so I can divide my canvas into 4 sections to help you scale your flamingos. I'm starting by drawing in soft lines that I hope you can see, beginning with the heads. The tops of their heads should be divided by the center line. I'm basically drawing in a heart since that's the shape their heads make together. I sketch in their jaw lines with a slightly rounded edge but keep their necks with the same thickness for the most part before it widens out into the main portion of their bodies. The bottom of their necks going into their chests should also be divided by the center line, almost touching it. I draw the inside of the necklines sort of in an S shape and then continue to sketch in the underside of their bodies about a ½ inch or so up from the bottom of the canvas. Take note I don't draw it in all the way as I make a line going downward and then sort of leveling out going towards the end and then make about a 45-degree angle that would serve as their back end feathers. The outer neckline dips below the horizontal halfway mark and then goes back up to about a ½ inch below the horizontal center line, but then goes back down again, basically making a hill. So the main portion of their bodies, or trunk rather, is sort of in the shape of a tilted oval. When I'm satisfied with my sketch, then I draw in my concrete lines so they'll stand out more when I paint. Don't forget that just because I say concrete doesn't mean you can't go back and fix anything. You can tweak or change anything about your painting at any point. Moving on to the background, I'm using my 3/4 inch tip flat brush or wash brush, filling it in with the color purple heather. Here I've already applied a second coat, but I also switched to my 3/8 inch angular shader to clean up my lines a bit and to get into those tighter spots. I switch brushes again to my number 12 filbert brush using the color Salmon for the main color of my flamingos. Still using the color Salmon, I go back to my 3/4 inch tip flat brush to fill the rest of them in. Back to my number 12 filbert brush, I add more Salmon, but I mix it with a little bit of white to lighten the necks up some, and then use the edge of my brush making soft lines going in a downward direction, just contouring the flamingo to give it a soft feathery look with the color white. I repeat the process for the flamingo on the left. Just real quick, I'm applying another coat to the main body with my 3/4 inch tip flat brush and then switch to my number 12 filbert brush again to add the wing feather using the color light pink. To make the feathers, I contour the back line and then paint in overlapping brush strokes going in a downward direction. They kind of look like a soft backwards S. Next, I paint in several semicircle brush strokes for the bottom feathers that almost look like I'm painting in Nike check marks clustered together. The starting point of the bottom feathers should line up with where the wing feathers begin, and there should be a gap between the two sets of feathers. I repeat the process on the Flamingo on the left, but I gotta be honest with you, my brain was fried and it just wasn't registering in my head how to do what I just did like 5 minutes ago. So I needed to go woo-saw for a few minutes and come back to it off camera and fix it. I didn't want to bore you, let alone confuse you by recording that process, so I thought if anything you can laugh at me here because I have my moments too. Well, I fixed it as best I could, and I lost track of time, a common side effect when doing art. Anyway, so here I finally moved on to their heads using my number 5 round tip fine detail brush, filling in a portion of it in with the color white, and then go back to add the color salmon to the beak. I briefly switched to my number 8 round tip brush because it has a fine tip point to outline in some more details of the beak. Notice the beak has a jagged edge where it meets the color salmon. I fill the rest of the beak in with my number 5 round tip fine detail brush with the color black. Here I'm using a Mandala dotting tool to paint in the eyes with the color Sunshine Yellow and Black, but they're also known as Meuxan dotting tools. Almost at the finish line, I go back to my number 5 round tip fine detail brush using the colors Salmon and Light Pink to fill in the small section of their legs. Lastly, I switch brushes again to my number 12 filbert, still using light pink, and use the edge of my brush to gently paint in soft lines that would suggest the rear or back end feathers. Oh, look at the little lovebirds! Guys, I couldn't help but to think of being in Florida when I was painting this. I don't know, maybe I'm just missing home. I'm actually born and raised in Los Angeles, lived there for about 31 years, but I consider Florida to be home. I'm former active duty in the Air Force, and when I was stationed at Hurlburt Field, I met and married my husband there, and that's where we first started our lives. So yeah, there's some good memories, fond memories, and a lot of significance there. And yeah, I'm not gonna lie, white sandy beaches, that just goes without saying. Anyways, this is also a really super cute painting you can make for someone as a Valentine's gift or for no reason at all, just because you love them. Okay guys, well that concludes this painting. And if you liked the tutorial, please be sure to not only share it, but to also hit like and subscribe for more videos. And you can always ask me any questions or tell me what you think in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. And lastly, your support in helping my channel grow is greatly appreciated too. I can't do it without you. And you'll find a link to do that in the description. But above all, don't forget to thank God for this opportunity and to always paint from the soul.